Interesting. I don't think the challenge is really whether or not technology is available. I think there's a lot of technology. In fact, there's more technology than the market is uptaking. I think the technological challenge is sorting out what all these technologies can actually do and what are the real business cases associated with their application. So it's learning what we can do with the technology largely that we already have.
Well, I think one of the challenges is that this is new, and as we look ahead into the future, we're really not sure how it will all develop. We have an idea, but we will learn along the way, and being able to look out into the future and plan for that future today sometimes poses technological challenges for us.
I think probably the most significant is the fact that in our industry we have a huge legacy installed base of infrastructure that's going to be difficult to transition away from, and to do that you got to have a nice standard interoperable set of technology, both hardware and software, to make that migration. So I think it's standardization is critical, but how do you really effectively migrate away from a legacy infrastructure that's at least 100 years old?
Well, the existing grid hasn't changed in terms of its overall architecture in about 100 years, and my job is to worry about the standards to allow for the evolution of the grid to accommodate a two-way flow of electricity and information, to integrate distributed renewables, provide consumers real-time information about their energy usage, all these wonderful things. And so taking a structure that's based on a lot of proprietary technology where standards traditionally haven't been thought of a great deal into a more open architecture that's based on open standards where you can evolve based on new requirements, new technologies is a huge challenge.
Well, technological challenges, I think one of the bigger technological challenges is one of integration and dealing with the issue of interoperability. I think is a big issue because we have a lot of technology being brought to bear right now, and the real issue for achieving the smart grid is how do you merge and combine those applications and those different technologies to be able to achieve the overall benefit of the smart grid. So in silos, you don't have a real challenge, but when it comes to integrating these solutions and making them communicate and making them function in a way that is totally transparent, that is where the real challenge is.
Well, there are several. One of them is the ability to store energy once it's produced and not needed at that point. The second one, technologically, is really integrating a lot of unlike devices so they speak a common language. So communication protocols are another technology issue that's being addressed actually nationally through NIST and organizationally through the IEEE and groups like DNP Coordinating Committee.
I think that the technological challenges are really technology opportunities. We're very excited about it. Electric power industry is an industry that essentially for 100 years has sent one thing in one direction, charged for it. Now, because of the smart grid deployments, smart meter deployments, there is information coming back. I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity here. There are some challenges that I'm confident that the industry can overcome, but what I'm more concerned about, concerned with, I should say, are the tremendous opportunities that it brings for future applications that are not even thought about today based on the capacities that are being deployed across the network.
I believe some of the most significant challenges for the smart grid is the synchronization between distribution automation, synchronization between home devices, control in the home, and also adjustments and delivery of pricing information as the dynamic grid is going to have to change and flex with plug-in electrical vehicles, with additional usage in high peak demand during the summers. So synchronization of all the equipment, all the vendors, all the applications in the back enterprise level systems is probably one of the biggest challenges that we'll see over the next 5 years or so.
I think the integration of the existing legacy systems into a smart grid so that those are not left behind or don't require a full wholesale swap out of technologies and devices in the field is one of the big challenges. And integrating that into not only the smart grid but all of the security infrastructure that we're trying to build in is a big challenge.
When I think about the technological challenges that we face today as an industry, I would put it in the category of how we bring the collaboration through testing. I think, like any other industry, new technologies will always come along, and we have new technologies constantly being invented. They might be invented in another industry that we adopt to ours. Right now, the challenge we face is, as utilities have to deploy these new technologies, they must work with a variety of other things. We don't have a clean sheet of paper. We can't go rewire houses and start from ground zero. So how we get existing applications to work with the new applications, and how we design things such that when we insert new technology, it still plays well with the existing environment. And I think the only way that we're going to be able to really get over this hurdle is there's a lot of momentum and activity in our industry right now around interoperability testing and bringing together a collaboration of the vendors and the industry participants. And I think that is a great undertaking, and I believe it's our way forward. We've got to, as a community of market participants, come together and work together on how we begin to make these various pieces work well together.
Well, probably making everything work. We have done stuff on a relatively small scale and then trying to roll it up to large scale. There are always challenges you didn't anticipate. I think probably one of the biggest challenges is recognizing when there's an issue and then dealing with it.
I believe some of the technological challenges really revolve around the evolving nature of the technology itself, trying to match up our deployments with the timing of changing to the next version of technology. So one of the things we've tried to do is look at how do you future-proof that technology, making sure that we're not having to go and replace that in the near term.
Well, I think that the technology is pretty much under control, and there's a lot of fantastic products out there that are going to meet the needs of the smart grid going forward. Probably the biggest challenge will be the interface between the legacy applications and some of the new applications, and the integration of all those pieces together into a total solution. And so really it's not the specific products that I see that are really challenged, because there's good companies and good people developing those. It's really going to be the interfaces and the overall integration of the total solution that's going to be the challenge. I would also say that on the people side of the equation, the human interfaces are going to be a more daunting task even than the technology, because you have to think about all of us in the industry who feel so familiar with this, but when you get down to the residential level, and I went through the Envision Center today and saw some of the most interesting applications they have there and devices. When you consider at the consumer level, when they're faced with these new challenges, there's going to be a big surprise there, I think. And the industry needs to start educating the public, setting their expectations for what they can achieve from this, and getting them involved at an early stage if they're going to hope to have the response they want. Probably the young children in the home are going to end up being delegated the energy management, the responsibility, because they're so familiar and comfortable with all these smart devices and all the computers and handhelds and so on and so forth. So and the boomer types who own the homes and are the elders of the family, they're probably going to just, as I say, delegate it kind of thing. It's not an easy transition. I can remember reading a story about RCA when color television came out. And in fact, everybody expected, they're going to be buying up the color TVs. It'd be a no-brainer. It just wasn't that way. The learning curve was huge. RCA loaded up the warehouses to get ready, and the people thought, gee, the color is going to dissipate and I'll be back to black and white, or the color somehow going to emit things and I'll have damage to my eyes. And the learning curve effect held off the sales and the revenues, almost bankrupted RCA. In fact, today you don't even hear about them in television. So I think that while it's really interesting to talk about the technology, we really have to look at the human factor in all of this.